Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
What's up, Jeff?
You finally unblocked people.
Yeah, he apologized to me in a DM this week, so we brought him back in.
Oof. Big mistake by him.
He said sorry for always being first and showing up Christina. I said, all right.
Nice.
Forget it. What are you up to tonight? You been watching some ball?
He was watching some ball, yeah. And then we had pizza night, so hanging out.
Homemade?
Nope. Takeout. I didn't eat up until then, so I ate like half of it.
Okay. And do you want to say from where?
It's called Zesty Zeke's. It's like a local spot.
You know, did we ever have Elliot's? Yeah, we did. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't waste any time on that. It was like, hey, Chris, how you doing? Where's the food?
But Christina hates Elliot so much that she had to get a dual order going from a different place.
I think I liked Elliot's better.
Elliot's, man, it's really not. It started off as a funny meme, but then it became true.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the crossover. Today's February 2nd, 2024. And mail days. Do you have any mail days?
I do. I have a mail day. Do you?
No.
All right. Then I will hold it this week. 2009 Exquisite limited logos. And these ones are out of 16, which is super random. But I was explaining on the live, it's because the last year of Exquisite, when they lost the license, they just sort of like scrambled to put together as much as they had lying around to like make the final set. And so, they had enough patches to make apparently exactly 16. So there you go.
That's cool, man. That's a really awesome card. It's still in the One Touch.
That one comes from China, and I bought this 6 weeks ago. So it's been an acquisition day for a while, but finally out of the purgatory.
That's cool. Was it ever graded, or do you think it's always been in that One Touch?
Well, I'm 2 for 2 buying from the Chinese site, being raw. So I don't know if that's like a Chinese thing, just it's harder to grade over there. You got to ship it a little bit further, so it's more likely to be raw. That's overseas.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely. It's cool. You're not trying to show us up with your One Touch, are you?
I don't mind the One Touch, like I used to be, like people in the live chats are like, oh, he's probably sending it to PSA like right after this is over, it used to be true. But now I have like, I think six LeBrons that are either in BGS slabs or raw that I just am nervous to like ship them 6 times. So I'm just sort of like building them up until I feel like I've hit a point of I can bring them all to national, and I missed national last year, so that's probably the other reason. So if I can bring them all to national, or I can have some drop-off event, that would be ideal.
Absolutely. I enjoy the period of time when the card is raw before it gets. It's like a gestation period, if you will.
Yeah.
We both like it raw.
Wow. All right, someone.
It's a raw nugget as well.
Yeah. Well, that's an amazing card. BGS equals One Touch. That's nice. That's a great card, man. All right. Christina, you don't have any email days, do you?
I do not.
No. Nope, still waiting on one card. Christina may have given up on collecting because of that card. She's just, an incubation period. There you go. All right. Let's get, and announcements. Do we have any card ladder related announcements? We have a new feature.
Yes, I don't have my laptop. I totally spaced on that. Are you near it?
I am. allow me to go to the feed, and then from within the feed, we have here is the bulk delete card in collection feature. So I don't. I can show that. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't want to bungle it.
Also, don't like showing my own collection live
Yes.
because it's like got numbers attached to it. But basically, if you're in the you know how it's got the list view and the gallery view. Yes. If you're
Yep.
in the list view, there'll be checkboxes on the left.
Yep.
And if you check a few, then a trash can appears in the top right.
Sweet. Prior, we had to open the card, push delete. Now you can bulk delete.
Yeah, we're getting more and more requests along the lines of like spreadsheet type, management things, which is cool. I've kind of wanted to stay away from like the super power spreadsheet type features, but this is probably pretty helpful if you're like, I have to click like 50 times to delete 25 cards.
You're helping people usher in new eras of their collecting careers as they're flushing the garbage out of their collections, and they want to do it efficiently.
Do you want to talk about the industry thing?
Yeah. Yes. Let's do that. All right. So I'll say some stuff, and then Josh fill in the blanks of anything that I miss. So on Card Ladder's industry tab, you're going to find a few new things.
Don't show that thing.
Okay. So on the industry tab, you'll see a few different things. The first one is that we've enhanced the information regarding this page. So you can just click that little link. You're going to be able to learn more about the data that's on this page, which is good, which is helpful. The second thing we've done is we've split all of the data into 3 eras. So you have the first era, which is prior to December of 2021, and that era is lacking most of eBay's fixed price and best offer sales, and it has limited tracking of sealed product on eBay. And that era is indicated by green dots on the graph. If the graph is green, that's era 1, and that's what that means. Era 2 is from December of 2021 until the end of 2023. This period incorporates most of eBay's fixed price and best offer sales, but has limited tracking of sealed products on eBay and is indicated by purple dots. So when you see purple dots here on the industry graph, that's referring to that era, era 2. And the final era, era 3, is 2024 onward. This period has increased amounts of tracking of eBay sales of all types, especially lower end sales, and incorporates an increased amount of tracking of sealed product on eBay as well. It's indicated by the blue dots. All right, so the purpose of this is if you're making comparisons across eras, you want to be sure that the stuff that you're looking at is apples to apples. And so this is one place where this is going to be a big factor, is when you're looking at the monthly sales count, the total number of transactions. This is where it's shown up most notably, most profoundly, is that starting in 2024, there has been a lot more in terms of monthly sales counts in the industry tab in particular. And that's because, like I said, for this third newest era, there's a lot more tracking of lower end sales and of sealed wax.
It's like a huge jump. I have to tell the story of before below industry, it had like a brief explanation of what the page was. And then you were like, hey, I want some more words there. I was like, sure, send it over. And he sent me like a wall of text, and I pasted it in there, and it would have like taken up half the page. So we made it a separate page.
Yeah. Yep. And that was me trying to keep it short.
So these are our new eras, right? And
these are the new eras.
You gave us a tour of the eras. Is that?
Yeah, this is for the power user of all power users, but it's good to know. And when you click onto the industry tab for the next time, just click that little link and read that little page. It's just a page, a few paragraphs, nothing crazy, and it'll help fill in context for what you're looking at there.
So you just gave us the Eras tour, you could say.
You could say that.
Nice. I like that. We should maybe think of that as a title. Christina, what do you think?
I just wrote that down.
The Eras tour.
It didn't take 3 hours or $15,000. So.
Yep. No, it didn't. Went quick. Did you hear? This is Taylor Swift content right now, right?
Correct. That's the name of her tour.
Have you heard the Herd Rant about how people need to stop complaining about Taylor?
No, what did he say? I haven't been watching Cowherd in a while now. He's been annoying me.
I avoid him when I can, but it came across my Twitter feed because lots of people were reposting it. They thought it was just the best thing ever. And Cowherd's like, well, you can't complain about Taylor Swift showing up for 30 seconds because, she's only very briefly on the broadcast. And he's like, this complaining is overblown. You can't complain about it because when you watch football, you're only watching 18 minutes of football action. And the rest of the time, you're watching commercials or you're watching slow motion pans on players on the sideline, or you're looking at fans jumping up in the stands. And he's like, and you don't complain about that, you don't turn away from the TV when the coach is shown. So why should you be complaining about Taylor Swift? And everybody just loved it. And that's not why people are complaining about Taylor Swift. That's not. First of all, it is dumb to complain about Taylor Swift. She shows up for a few seconds, that's it. But if you want to give a fair shake to the people who are whining about it, they're whining about it because they are concerned that the sideshow of the celebrity, of the mega celebrity, is overshadowing the purpose of the broadcast, which is to watch men throw a ball around.
Right.
I don't get this though, because Spike Lee goes to Knicks games and he's always shown on the broadcast. Jack Nicholson goes to a Lakers game and he's always shown on the broadcast. Jason Kelsey jumps out of the window of a suite and people are like, look at him support his brother. Like, but a girl sitting in a fucking booth cheering or making a gesture in frustration at a play on the field, that is where these guys draw the line.
Christina, Lauren wants to see you make your great points. You already made your points, though.
It's just fucking stupid. And you need to get over it, okay? Girls can support their boyfriends without you, insecure little man, freaking out because he's never been supported in his life. Okay? That's on you.
All right. Very good. Very good.
What did she call the football fans? The bros, Joes? What did she call them?
Brad, Chads, and Dad.
Brad's Chad.
I giggled at that. I thought that was funny.
It was good. It's the reason why people treat Spike Lee differently, among others, is because Taylor is such a big celebrity that they're worried that she's overshadowing the game.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that with Spike Lee. You don't gotta worry.
Everyone probably gives this anecdote. It's like the most common anecdote, but my mom was like asking me about the games, and I'm like, I never talk to my mom about sports, and she's like, oh my gosh, do you think the Chiefs are going to win? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, oh, I just love this whole Taylor Swift thing. I'm like, you would, Mom. Like, that's such a mom thing to now you care about football so I think it's probably that, right? Like, that we're being infiltrated by the talking points not being the game.
Taylor Swift fans are gentrifying the NFL experience. But the thing is, though, ESPN had an article about the average viewership for the NFC and the AFC title games last weekend. And the NFC game, which did not feature Taylor, was more viewed. It had about 1 million more viewers on average than the AFC game.
It was a later game, though.
Yeah, they did have the later game. Yep, and different network, too. One was Fox, the other was CBS.
Fox was the larger rating.
Yeah, I don't think she's adding as much as we think. It's probably just more like the talking points. And the talking points aren't more. There's different. It's like there's already so much coverage on the NFL. Their ratings are already like 10x everybody else. It's not like
they're nuts. The raw numbers were like 57 million average viewers and 56 million average viewers for those two games.
every time I see the numbers for like television shows of all time, it's like Sunday Night Football, like the top 100. Taylor Swift would have like she probably couldn't even beat those if she made her own TV show.
It wouldn't even be close. Yeah.
False. But whatever. She just broke Hollywood this past summer. But totally. She cannot compare to the NFL, though. Her follower count on social media is larger than all of the NFL brands put together. But yes, no, you're totally right, Josh. Yeah, she can't beat them in a viewership contest.
I said that.
I also, sorry, Chris.
Thank you.
Stupidity just sounds like one place. So, I also want to point out, I don't know, it could be fake. Go ahead, crack it.
No,
sorry.
I wanted credit for that.
It could be fake, but I've been seeing posts about dads who are saying that their daughters are interested in football for the first time, and it's something that they've shared. And can we not hate on something that's bringing more fans into the NFL? Because that just doesn't make sense to me either. You're literally opening up your product to an entire generation and new viewership that you've never been able to capture previously, and the fans are upset. It makes no sense. 44 seconds over a 3.5-hour broadcast.
The plane, all the private flights she's taking.
Counterpoint. The plane.
I mean, yeah, the plane. Okay, let's talk about the NFL taking planes every time the teams fly. Let's talk about the NBA having 82 games, which means all of their teams are flying on private flights 80-something times because you have both ways for each of the game. Should we put them on trains, buses? What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
All right, I'm unpinning the comment. The comment is unpinned.
They have 6-game homestands, and so they don't fly every time.
That's
and
right.
There's 100 people. There's 100 people on those NFL flights. She's just by herself. What a waste.
The plane is smaller. They take a commercial airliner, a 747 for the team.
We got her down in the middle.
Talking about a private jet.
Hell, I wonder, where does Christina stand on this? That's what I want to know.
I don't know how we're going to keep up with this energy for 2 hours.
I know, I'm exhausted already. I'm exhausted. Let's make Super Bowl's next week. I keep thinking it's this week. This is the worst. This is the worst week of the year. There's no freaking football. And it's I'm not even going to be excited by the time the Super Bowl gets here. It's such a long wait.
Yep, it is. It is a rough patch here. All right, well, we broached the Taylor Swift topic, and everybody kept their cool. Okay. Yeah, not a big fan of the Herd Rant, but I'm in a small minority on that one. All right.
I don't like any of his rants lately. He just rambles.
He does. Okay. Well, let's warm up with a Super Bowl question. From 90s B-ball cards, Jake, what is your preference for watching the Super Bowl? Would you prefer to be in stadium, at a watch party, at home, or other?
What's other?
Free for all, field. I don't know.
We're just watching it on my toilet, on my phone.
I mean, that may happen for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Cell phone view.
I feel like going to the Super Bowl would be a nightmare. Just logistically getting there, the madness of, and then sitting in that arena, stadium, whatever, for 5 hours or however long you're there with all the breaks. That would be maddening. At least at home you can go take breaks whenever you want,
Yes. And you don't know what type of fans you're going to be surrounded by at the Super Bowl either.
Yeah. That's not even a bucket list thing for me to go to a Super Bowl.
No, few people realize, #few, people die every year at sports games fighting with other fans.
You're thinking of soccer.
No, there were people killed at NFL games this year.
Oh my gosh, Raiders games.
Probably, yeah.
I always see those. I always get those TikToks where they're like Cowboys fans and some drunk people like punching each other in the outer parts of the stadium.
Exactly. So but at home, do you prefer to have company over and have a party, or
We usually go. We have some friends that host like an annual party, but they live kind of far away, and like in general, there's like people around me who don't understand football, at least not to the level that we do, and it's like that was wrong what you just said, sir. But okay, I will ignore it, I guess. And so I'd rather just watch it on myself.
Yes. Yep. Because there are different people watching for different reasons. There are going to be tens of millions of people who are watching because they have a square from their work pool, or it's a social event, or what. But then there's people like us who like want to watch every play. We want to know what coverage is being run. We want to know everything, right? Like, so
some people are on their phones during the game and then they perk up for halftime, and that's like we've been training for 20 weeks to do the opposite of that. In fact, like I'm watching Red Zone most of the time. I have no time for any breaks or halftime shows, or it's like this is clearly your first football game of the year, so I'm gonna have to walk through what just happened.
Yep, halftime of the Super Bowl, the worst 30 minutes of my year.
Like they're gonna say stuff like the Chiefs defense is bad. I'm gonna be like, not this year. Actually, they're good.
My problem is when I watch with the boys, they will talk during the commercials about the football game they just watched, which I have to be silent during. But I want to watch the commercials, and then they're just yapping the whole fucking time, and I can't hear the commercials.
My wife's favorite thing about sports is she's like, you watch the pregame, then you watch the game, and then after the game you watch the fucking highlights. Like, what are you doing? You already watched this game. Why do you need to see the highlights?
Dude, I was so pumped when House and Sharp came out with their first of their 2 Super Bowl podcasts. I mean, I've probably taken in 6 to 8 hours of podcast pre-analysis of the game. So by the time you add that into the game, and I've been watching like YouTube conspiracy videos about the 2019 Super Bowl. Same official, Bill Vinovich, who officiated that game, will be officiating this.
What does Sharp say? What's his like favorite prop bet?
Sharp, well, House was overpowering on this. I don't think Sharp's like ready to give out too much yet. He was just kind of analyzing. Sharp said he's putting together a 50-page book about this Super Bowl.
Wow.
So he's still working on it, I guess. But House is very much taking the Chiefs' side. He's like, I'm betting the Chiefs every day that they're underdogs. I'm betting.
Yeah, I think people are feeling like, why were the Chiefs not favored the last 2 matchups, and why did I not bet on that? And this is probably my chance if they're going to be projected. If they're underdogs again, I can't go 0 for 3. I think that's probably this consensus.
That's exactly. And House says he's like, it's a square way to look at things, but that's how he's looking at it. And then Sharp's reply is, had the Ravens, not fumbled the ball at their own goal line, and B, had the Ravens had less of a passing approach and did way more running.
Yeah.
And if they had given Lamar a green light to scramble, as there were lots of instances when he could have, and had they just played the run game, which is the Chiefs' weakness defensively in EPA per play, is their rushing defense. Sharp is like, the Ravens had a real shot to win that game. So Sharp's point is like, if the Ravens had gone to their strengths, maybe they win that game against the Chiefs. And he's like, so that's why the 49ers are favored too, because they have similar strengths. So good pot. All right.
I'll listen to Sharp. I need a break from Bill.
Yeah. Bill didn't have a podcast this Thursday. Anyway.
Yeah, his last one was like a 2-hour interview with Larry David.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this isn't even sports.
Skip that one. All right. All right. Next question here. This is a crossover verse. All right. This took 4 years to finally happen, but it did. Elmo has been referenced in a card ladder question. This is from What Are We Doing Here, George? Maybe you should ask the hobby the same thing that Elmo asked everybody this week. And this was a tweet that garnered 206 million views.
Whoa,
There's Elmo.
there he is.
Elmo is just checking in. How is everybody doing? And this got a lot of attention from people. The first appearing replies from a guy named Contrarian, who says, every morning I cannot wait to go back to sleep. Every Monday I cannot wait for Friday to come. Every single day and every single week for life.
Oh, that's depressing.
So George says we should ask this question of the hobby. Just checking in. How is everybody doing? But you know what, George? We kind of figure that question out indirectly as we pour over the questions. Do you agree?
Yeah.
You get a sense?
We're getting a sense. I think he just wants us to look at the CL50.
We have a CL50 question coming up. All right. Something for the hobby to think about as they listen. How is everybody doing? Next question is from Hometown Authentics. I was at the Culture Collision show last week, and I noticed over 50% of dealers were advertising that they were buying. Is this increased optimism in the card market's future?
Another bull signal? Is that what we're saying? Another bull signal?
Another bull signal, yep.
Over 50% of the dealers are buying. Man, I would hope that it's always like that, but...
Exactly. Isn't the job of the dealer always to be buying?
Yeah. Dealing, buying, selling. Yeah, I mean, we're just like, we keep finding more and more things, I guess. I don't know. I guess we'll just keep an eye on it.
Yeah. It would be bad if dealers weren't buying, I suppose. And like the implication here is sort of that there was a sense from Hometown Authentics that there's more buying happening from across the table at the show.
Well, if you're a dealer and you're at these shows and you are buying, no matter what shop or affiliation or dealer or breaker you're with, make sure you're using Card Ladder to get your comps, because that's just key. You know, doesn't even matter what shop you belong to, you got to use Card Ladder.
Definitely. Card Ladder is shop agnostic.
It is shop agnostic. Yep. All
right. This comes from Cards of Random Awesomeness, who asks, can the hobby be 10x'd without...
Damn.
Can the hobby be 10x'd without properly courting player and set collectors? What are your thoughts on how that can be accomplished?
You mean like new set and player collectors that don't already exist? Because 10xing is indicating we're bringing in new player and set collectors. Isn't that kind of like everybody? Is anyone not a player or set collector?
Oh, well, I think like the opposite of that is one example might be just somebody gambling, buying into breaks.
Yeah. No, I think I was going to take this question as like, we need to make sure we're sticking with the history of the hobby, you know, like the traditional sets, the players, and kind of keeping it focused on collecting. I think I would take the question that way.
Yeah, exactly. So like, the question is saying, do we need to make sure that still happens and that there is just, exactly. I think, yep.
I mean, the vibe I'm getting is like, in order to 10x, we have to make it Walmart, or we have to make it more breaker focused, which is a strategy. But in order to like truly do it and keep the retention there, I think is the key part of it. I think it needs to be collector focused.
Absolutely. Yep. Not too much to add to that. I think we're all of the same mind there. All right. This is an interesting topic. From Deca 99, the 1979-80 OPG case at Heritage. Let's talk about the economics of it. Whether anyone would be foolish enough to open it. And whether we will see some new PSA 10s on the market. All right, so I can't get into this question or this set of questions without explaining briefly what this is. So ending tomorrow night on Heritage Auctions.
Tomorrow night? Let's go.
With a current bid of $1.75 million pre-buyer's premium is a 1979-80 OPG hockey wax sealed case, 16 boxes, 48 packs, BBC authenticated, the only known case containing Gretzky's OPG rookie. And there are some gems in the item description. So here's one of them. Where is it? Well, for one thing I like is that the box is referred to as a hefty cardboard box.
It's got the corners are maintained well. It's got very little usage on the brown box.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and then here we go. All right, and this
case is open though. I feel like people should know that it is opened. The case has been opened, and then for verification purposes, they opened it and they resealed it.
That's right. And
wonder where the
provenance. Yeah, and the provenance of these boxes coming from a sealed case increases the desirability of each individual. I watched the 5-minute Heritage video on this, and each of the 16 boxes in the case was itself shrink wrapped and authenticated by BBCE. And those boxes having the provenance of coming from an untampered case adds something to them if they were to be sold independently and the case were to be the BBCE seal were to be broken. This is one of my favorite lines from the description, save for the last paragraph. The case itself presents with only the slightest evidence of handling and storage wear.
Yes.
Indicative of a long and lonely existence of unmolested seclusion.
It's the world's most expensive brown box. Let's just put it that way. What's the CL value of a PSA 10 Gretzky? Because I think that's still like a pop 2 or something? Pop 3?
Pop 2.
Yeah.
The highest sale on record of that card is the sale that Heritage brokered, a private sale that they brokered and announced for $3.75 million. And Card Ladder has a value on that OPG PSA 10 Pop 2 of $2.2 million today.
And what's the PSA 9 worth?
And the PSA 9, which is larger than a Pop 2, the PSA 9 is a Pop 93, and it last sold for $134,000 a week ago.
And there's going to be 27 Gretzky's possible out of this box.
So that's the other thing, is that right here. Okay, when considering, so we know that there's 16 boxes, 48 packs per box, 14 cards per pack. When all of this is considered, a perfectly random assortment would suggest that about 27 physically pristine Gretzky rookies are contained within this hefty brown cardboard case.
So it's like 1.5 per box, like 2 in every 3 boxes,
I guess,
or 3 in every 2 boxes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if they all graded 9s, it still would like 27 times. Yeah, it's like you need a bunch of 9s, and you're basically hoping for a 10 if you were to open it, but you're most likely getting a bunch of 7s and 8s, to be honest.
Yeah, and if I'm the owner of one of those 2 PSA 10s, I have like
nervous.
I have like a 5% increase in anxiety right now as I wait to see if the result here is going to be somebody opens this and tries to grade all of them.
You hope that a sealed brown box collector wins it.
Exactly. Now, it does seem very unlikely that another 10 would pop. Let's see what the gem rate information here on cardless. Okay, so the PSA gem rates.
Oh no.
For the card. So there's 2 gems and a total population of just under 12,000.
Okay, so it's not super. 12,000 is a lot, but not a ton.
The gem rate is 0.02%.
So 5% is your nervousness? Shouldn't it be 0.02%?
Yeah, it should be lower. It should be lower. But
I heard these sealed boxes are really tough to come by. So the gem rate for something coming out of a brand new box is probably a higher probability than that percentage, but still it can't be like, it's not going to be like a 10% chance or anything like that.
Yeah. And the boxes, when they were taken out of the case, the unmolested case, were like Steve Hart was commenting on how well preserved they were.
Okay, I don't care about the goddamn box. The boxes are old. We get it, and they're not molested. Why is that the selling point?
The molestation?
Yeah, I guess like if you're collecting sealed wax, vintage sealed wax, is that really what you're looking for? You're looking for it to be like, and you don't want it to be like bent up in the corners, and that's. I thought it was more just like the fact that it's sealed in general, but because I don't see. Can you even grade the condition of these boxes yet? I'm sure that's coming.
No, I'm not aware of box grading yet.
So it can't be that important.
No, definitely not. All right. Well, that should be fun to watch that end tomorrow night. There's some other cool cards in that auction as well, like a Joe Montana BGS 10 first
nice
card.
Nice.
Yeah. So should be fun. All right. From Tasty Card Sandwich here with a pensive question. What is your life like today if you never rediscovered cards a few years ago?
Oof. Well, we wouldn't be doing this live.
Yep.
It would be very different. I'm not good at the butterfly effect thing, but
dude, at this point, we're so dug in to cards that it's really hard to start imagining to undo all that.
I'm having to go back like 10 years. It's like, what was I doing? And it was kind of like a boring lead-in. I don't even know what I'd be doing. I'd be doing like spreadsheets of real estate holdings or something.
I'd be long on Bitcoin, I think.
You'd be in law school, or you'd be a lawyer by now, a full-time big boy lawyer.
I think I would have found a different way to avoid
it. You'd be a part of the Panini Fanatics lawsuit.
Yep. I would be sitting in a damp, dark corner in a building somewhere pulling case law from 20 years ago.
Do you think it would be just a matter of time, though, before you found your childhood collection and just is there a scenario where you found your childhood collection and you weren't like, oh wow, this is interesting, and you didn't go down the rabbit hole?
Totally. The fact that it happened when I was on like a year hiatus from in between undergrad and law school, and I was supposed to be studying for the LSAT, but I have to be in a social setting a lot of times, like for school related stuff, where I just will never study and I will never do anything. And I was supposed to be studying for the LSAT, but like my brain found the first distraction it could, which was the old card collection.
Don't tell me that. I was working my ass off in tech, flying all over the fucking country and world, like that year while you were studying for the LSAT.
Christina would like leave $100
in your LSAT
in my
book.
LSAT book to go buy like a Michael Jordan card.
Like every time I would go on a trip.
But that would mean I would have to study to find the $100 bill.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird to think about. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, probably pretty good. We found cards.
Yeah, it is. Definitely is. What would it be like if we had never found cards and then we were reading an ESPN article about the trading card industry? I don't know. Would there
I
have
don't
been
know.
some siren call at some point that brought us in?
Definitely not the ESPN. I just keep thinking it was like, going to my mom's and finding my collection. It just, for some reason, like if it's not for that event, I just don't see myself getting drawn in through any of because we see articles like that in other areas. It's like, who cares? I'm never interested in the, random ESPN articles.
Exactly. That's great. That's great, card Father 13. All right. From Vinnie Slabarino. Always enjoy the show. Always enjoy your questions, Vinny. All three of you guys have hobby goals that revolve around groups of cards, like getting all the LeBron Golds or all the Black 101 McCaffreys or the Maxi Kleber Rainbow. If someone at the start of these goals offered you those complete runs and you had the money, would you buy them all at once? I, too, collect certain sets, and I don't think I would buy them all at once if I was given the chance, which I think is totally irrational, by the way. Am I alone here? Thanks, Vinny.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's like, what do we value more, the pursuit of the cards or the actual just like having them? I feel like I would just buy them. I don't know, like I wouldn't be able to say no to it, but I get the sentiment of it. There's like a couple more LeBrons that I want that I'm like close to checking off another kind of like sub list for myself, and I'm like, I'm in no hurry. I actually hope I don't find it for a while, because this is like, it's going too smoothly at this point. I need some like resistance.
Yeah. I would. I'm not saying it's optimal, but for the McCaffrey one-of-ones, the odds of finding them are so low. And the chances of me, if I don't buy them all at once, the chance of somebody else buying them and then they make their way, some go to dealers, some go to collectors, some may never get seen again. Because they're one-of-ones, I have to do it.
Yeah.
It would be better if I had the thrill of finding them all on my own, but I have to do it. I have to take them all. Yeah.
I was going to come into this question.
Yep.
I would say no, because the pursuit is what is the fun part. What is so funny?
You had like a Michael Scott moment where you just started a sentence.
And I didn't know where it was
I'm
going.
not sure where this sentence is going.
Or anyone, or anything, at any time, or any place, ever.
Christina, but knowing the difficulty of the neon green, you're actually probably going to say yes.
No, I'm not still.
Why not?
Because that hunt for the neon green has opened a lot of hobby friendships up to me.
Mm.
And like the fact that like I see people at shows and like I talk to people online and like their first thing is always like, I haven't found the green yet for you. Like it's just I don't know.
It's your brand.
It kind of is, but like it reminds me that the hobby, while can be full of douches and tools, like has this like core of good people that are helping other collectors find the pieces that they need for their PC.
Yeah. What if Taylor Swift had it and she wouldn't sell it to you?
She doesn't want my energy directed at not being a fan of her.
What if like a year from now, or like after Panini loses the license, it comes out, they're like, oh shoot, we actually didn't print any neon green Klebas that year. It's just like a total they don't exist. Sorry. You're looking, but it doesn't exist. We had a printing error that year, and it was just like random.
One, I've already spoken to the Panini brand manager of 2020 Prism, and he assures me, and he checked, that the neon green of Maxi Kleber was not damaged in facility and did make it to PAX. And if he's lying, two, I have 3 of the 4 printing plates, and I will be bringing all 4 printing plates once I have the 4th one to the printing facility and making them reprint them.
Nice.
There you go.
Well, it would be a relief, I think, if it was ever confirmed that no neon greens were made, because then the rainbow's done and it's been done.
Just make her own. Like you said, just bring it over there and make her own. And she's got it. The 6th copy.
Yeah, that. Look, I mean, not trying to make any premature rulings here, but I don't know if that's going to count.
Well, then I'll just put the one that Lauren made me in that place.
There you go.
That one's not going to count with the stops emoji. The circle with the line through it. That's a no.
Yeah, I mean, what is it, number 6 of 5?
That's like saying, it's like when Austin Reeves is like, we just gave 110% tonight. Well, Austin, you didn't, because that's not possible. You gave 95 probably, because you're still standing. Like you're able to speak right now, so therefore you didn't give 100%. Actually, you'd be in the hospital. Dummies. I hate when they say that.
Especially when they lose.
Well, if you're going to go over 100%, why stop at 110?
Don't even continue with this train of thought. This is like, look at you, infinity percent.
It's actually statistically impossible to be 100%.
That's what I said. That's what I said. That was my rant. He'd be dead.
Ruben wants to know if maybe the DFW shark on eBay somehow came into all 5.
Michael Rubin, he said that?
Our Ruben, not Michael Rubin. Right.
I'm going to start randomly tagging Michael Rubin in all my posts, by the way. I really want that guy's attention.
Yeah. Is
that a viable strategy?
That's how you hobby in 2024.
I'm going to start tagging LeBron and Michael Rubin in all my posts, and Tom Brady.
Nice. I mean, now you've tripled your chances of. Well, what happens after they what's the end game there?
Become rich and famous, and they'll be my best friends, and we'll go on long car rides together. I don't know.
I could see that working out.
Yeah, I mean, God, that'd be horrible. What if they invited me to something? I'd be like, just kidding. I didn't want any of this. I don't even want to go.
Josh at a white party?
No.
Nope. I don't want to.
If you saw me there, you'd just be like, you're fired.
All right, let's move on here to a question from Call Me Pills. All right, Pills.
I will.
Pills wants to know, are card ladder questions okay? How courteous of you for asking. Would we ever want to take a question about the product that we're shilling for? His question is this. If so, how often are the cards that make up the CL50 updated? And is there any sort of announcement when changes are made?
This is where you make a joke about the S&P 500. This is your chance, so go for that.
Well, I can dunk on the S&P 500 right now.
About how they always swap them in and out.
They do. The S&P 500 is constantly making sure that the only stocks contained in it are the largest market cap stocks. So the S&P 500, but the S&P 500 also uses divisors to move stocks in and to move them out. So it's not retroactively recalculating anything. It's just making sure that the largest cap stocks are represented, which is kind of a genius idea, if we're being honest. But moving aside from that, our indexes don't change. I actually went back and I watched a bit of the Sports Cards Culture YouTube video from when the Card Ladder 50 launched, which was 3 years ago in February of 2021. And it has the same constituent 50 cards then as it does today.
Yeah. We only have 3 cards post 2010, I believe, for this reason, because we wanted to keep them the same. And it's like the Mahomes, Luka, and Giannis, if I'm remembering correctly, those 3.
Yep.
And I think Mahomes had already had a Super Bowl by that point. Giannis didn't have a championship, but he was Giannis, 2-time MVP by that time. And so it was it made sense. We were trying to pick safer stuff that we knew wouldn't just jump out of relevancy.
Yeah, and if I remember right, one of the approaches to selecting the cards that was used was just looking at which cards had the largest market caps at the time that the Card Ladder 50 was compiled. So that helped direct us to certain cards like the PSA 9 Fleer Michael Jordan 1986 card number 57, for example. And then the selection of the cards also was focused on getting cards in there that are going to have sales with
Right.
sufficient regularity so that the index would be dynamic, so that it would be capturing price movements as they happen, which is not a perfect way to capture a collectibles market, because there's something to be said about the rarest items, the items that sell the least, being the most desirable. So an index in a collectibles arena, and especially the indexes in Card Ladder, which are limited, in all cases, our indexes only track cards that have at least 2 sales in the last year and 1 sale in the last 6 months. If a card doesn't meet that, then it falls out of the index until it does. Those indexes are not going to capture the most desired and the best cards. So anyway, yeah, there is the answer pills on the composition of CL50. And then to the point of like, if we were to change something in the CL50, would we announce it? Yes, but I don't see a case where we would change it. I see a case where if we felt strongly that we needed some other representation of some other cards in a prominent index, I think we would just make a new index and we would go from there. So the point is to keep it the same. All right. Moving on. 3 questions. This was so weird that this became a theme for question askers this week. 3 questions on the topic of this. Ricky Puyido says, when do you know it's time to move on from a PC player of yours? Junkwax Pack says, if you stopped collecting a player and sold their cards and you had pictures of their cards on your Instagram, do you delete the posts? And Xanu23 Sports Card says, what's the shortest time you've ever had a particular PC? So take it away, Josh. Anything on this topic of moving on? How fast do you move on, or how do you know it's time to move on from a PC?
Yeah, I had a Mikal Bridges PC for like 2 months. I just got overexcited and bought too much and was like, I don't even care about this anymore, and moved on. I usually like to cut my losses very quickly. I don't even care about trying to time it or how much money I'm into it for, and I just like sell it all super fast. I just would rather just move on. So I don't know if that answers any of those questions, but
No, that's a good way to be, and it's the opposite of lazy, whatever that is. Because and then you have me on the other side of the spectrum who started a Frank Ntilikina PC, and I'm still just stubbornly riding that one into the ground. So I wish I would have. Once he left the Mavs, I should have just been done with that. But it's just watching what little value those cards have left disintegrate.
what team is he on this year?
Charlotte, but he suffered a season-ending injury in the preseason.
Bummer.
Yeah, so
Doubling the value of all your cards, or
yeah, right, yeah.
it's the Trae Young effect.
His cards went up.
Every time he plays, the card values go down.
Yeah. Now, what about this part about the pictures on Instagram? Do you keep? Do you delete for a PC that you've completely moved on?
I would say maybe like keep like your favorite 2 or 3 from that PC, just to have the ability to go look back on it. Like, oh yeah, I forgot I had the Black Prism, whatever of that random player. Maybe that.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's cool when, especially for accounts that have been around for years and years and years, it's cool to go back and be able to sort of see and remember different parts of the collection building journey. But
Yeah.
but my trigger point on this topic is when you have guys who don't have any cards anymore or have very few cards, but they just they just repost or they post the cards over and over again, or they just have a page full of cards that they don't own, and they use those cards to sort of create the impression that they're this, esteemed collector, but they're not. They sold all of those cards. It's misleading.
And the captions like, "Let this one go too early." Sad face.
Not even. The caption will just be like, "Yeah, one of my best cards."
That's really misleading.
Yeah, it's like, no, you don't own that card.
Yeah, I was saying like don't delete. I definitely would not add new pictures after it's been gone. That seems ridiculous. But I wouldn't necessarily scrub like every post I have in the past. Plus I've tried to do that and it's just like it takes so long. They need a bulk delete Instagram post feature.
They need to let me sort what order my Instagram posts go.
Yes, true. Instagram search and sorting is so bad.
One last question here from this topic was, when do you know it's time to move on? How did you know that it was time?
I don't know. Wanted the money for something else. I don't know. Switch teams. Many reasons.
Probably don't overthink it.
Or you're just like bored of it.
Yes. All right. Spicy question. Drake warned me before he sent this question in that this was going to be a very spicy question.
Spice me.
All right. So Drake says, are we in the monetizing content inning of the hobby? And when he sent that question in, he warned me that it was spicy. I said, well, can you say more? What do you mean about this? What do you mean? And he says the following. It seems like there has been a mass exodus of content creators all at once, and some of the ones remaining are now trying to find ways to monetize. And I just get nervous when money or sponsorships get involved because it can cause people to behave differently. For example, would you treat me differently if I did not subscribe to Card Ladder?
Yeah, no.
Well, we wouldn't be reading your questions, Drake,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
First of all.
No, that's a joke.
Well, we've obviously monetized in the space ourselves, so like we are going to be biased on this topic.
Right.
And to me, it comes down to like a matter of support, like supporting people who you feel bring a lot to the space. And we've always felt that way about Card Ladder. Now, granted, we made the tool hopefully useful for people. It's become valuable to a lot of dealers and collectors and lots of different people in the space, which is great. But we always enjoyed sort of like the support aspect of it as well, because we feel that there's a lot of community aspect to this, to cards. And so, on the case of like monetizing for specific people that have been creating content for 3, 4, 5 years, like if they're looking for support, I think it's a great time to do that. And I don't see any issue with it. Did that answer all of his questions?
Yes.
He's saying a mass exodus. I mean, that's just a matter of like people losing their hats on stuff, like losing their shirts. And they just want to get out. It's an investment. But the people who have stuck around are clearly more passionate about it. They bring more to the table. And, I get, dude, if you're putting in, like, when I was doing Cardboard Chronicles interviews for years, it was like, why the F am I doing all this editing, all this stuff, all these, like, chasing people down and, like, doing these interviews? I'm not getting paid at all. I was happy to do it, but at a certain point, it does cross your mind of, like, is there something else I can do?
Yeah. And I think when content creators do decide to monetize, that it's a difficult decision that they make.
Yeah.
And they sort of have to decide. One of the decisions that they confront anyway is, do I go the route of taking on sponsors and advertisers, or do I go the route of creating an audience-based support system like a crowdfunding or a Patreon or something like that, or a subscription? And that's a really, really difficult choice. And, both paths require, being conscientious and thinking carefully about how it's going to impact their content. But like to the point Drake has about like, which is a totally valid concern that I think a lot of people have is, would you treat me differently if I didn't subscribe to Card Ladder, as the example?
Would we treat him differently?
Yeah. Or like, will a content creator treat you differently if you don't
Right.
financially support them?
I personally would not, but I'm pretty sure Drake uses it, but I'm not 100% sure. So, I don't treat him. It's not like I look up his status before I go and DM him, something friendly, or you know what I mean? Like that's not really like the lead in. I'd have to someone would have to tell me, hey, by the way, that guy you're talking to, he's not a card ladder. So it's just like, okay, well, that's weird, but you have to tell me that.
Yeah. Here's it's a great point, and then here's another way to think about it. In what world would it make sense for a content creator to not have the utmost level of respect and kindness and outreach to people who are not presently supporting or listening or monetizing or whatever? That's not strategically sound.
Right.
To be rude or mean or inconsiderate or disrespectful towards people who are not listening to you or not subscribing to you. You would do the opposite, I think. You would, for the people who are not yet patrons of what you're doing, you probably want to court them to the greatest extent possible. So I don't think it would make a lot of sense for content creators to become standoffish with people who aren't supporting them.
Plus, this is a joke, so everyone calm down. But there's professions out there that definitely deserve to be paid less than Patreon users in the card hobby space. I'm thinking of dentists, for example. My dentist, I swear, he's never even touched my teeth. That man walks into the room and says, "Looks good," and walks out. So I'm supposed to just pay this guy to drive his Mercedes Benz around? No, come on. There's other professions that get paid. That no, I don't see it.
Do you have any thoughts or wisdom for?
I love dentists. Keep my teeth clean. Just kidding.
Do you have any wisdom teeth?
I do not.
What advice would you give a content creator who might be worried about people who are having the concerns that Drake has?
Yeah.
Which is how do I put at ease audience members who might not be able to or might not be willing to support me on a monetary level, even though they like my content or they're friends of mine?
Yeah, I'd just be really open about that and get out all your disclaimers and just be upfront about what each of the tiers mean and what you expect from people, what people can expect if they pay, if they don't pay. Just I don't know, just over explain it. Sure. What are you thinking? Is there something else I'm missing?
No, that's really good. I've seen in the basketball card podcast world, content creators monetize in different ways. So some of the ones I listen to are from the Action Network, and the Action Network is a product, it's an app, it's related to gambling content. And so that is the financial backing for free content that these guys put out about gambling, but it all sort of roots you back to the Action Network, or it brings you in as a listener or an audience member or a follower or a fan of the content creators who then work for this place. So if you follow their content, there's sort of you can kind of trace it there. And then there's other content creators who, they make podcasts because they're a branch of The Athletic or a branch of ESPN. You have some of these the NBA talk shows from athletic writers. You have Zach Lowe and Brian Windhorst and the Poop Collective and their podcast, or you have the fan podcasts, which still are affiliated with networks, but they're just on a smaller level. And then you just have some guys who just podcast because they love the sport, but they don't have the luxury of having these backings. But they also don't have the shackles of having those backings either. And so I've seen one instance was the Dunked On podcast, It used to be 5 days a week, just put out free episodes. Then they monetized. They turned into a subscription. I love their show, but not enough to become a subscriber. And they still put out one free show a week, and I'll still usually listen to that one free show a week. And they seem to be doing fine. And they have a Discord community that's for the subscribers and seems to be good. So there's lots of different ways you can go about it, but it's like, as a content creator, the amount of work, like kind of like what you were talking about with Cardboard Chronicles, the amount of work that ends up going into it, for somebody who successfully builds an audience at some point, they want to convert it from being strictly a passion project to something that is monetized. I struggle to find a reason why they shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, we're just like also so used to it with watching our favorite personalities on TV or listening to the podcast. The majority of those have ads at this point. And I think of it like, if I don't have these ads, that means they're not getting paid, which means I can't listen to them anymore. So it's like, this is just the trade that I've made. Like I'm fine paying for it, or I'm fine listening to the ads or paying with my attention, because that's how much I value this content. So like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like you said, like I'm not seeing the reason not to. Short of like this, they're selling out, which is just like a surface level taboo thing to say,
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then it's obviously admirable when people do make completely unmonetized content. There's something to be said for that too, for people who do that for years and years.
So they probably have another job, like they probably have something or some sort of like real estate investment holding it up.
Gotta have some way to pay for the electricity and the internet and the equipment and the time.
Players gotta eat.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
Rodman just called us bitches.
Yeah, he's probably drunk.
This guy is just way too excited right now.
He's having a great Friday night. He's sipping an old fashioned.
Probably got a cigar going.
Definitely got a cigar. Chewing on the knob of that cigar.
Players gotta eat.
Yep, I already wrote that one down. That's good.
I was noodling on that for a while.
Hot Sauce says it would be nice if we had some more NFT content and influencers.
I zinged him over DMs. He said, I posted like the FedEx thing, I always do like, hey, it's coming. Who wants to see this? He was like, I do. And I was like, stick around and I'm going to pitch you my next NFT project at the end. I said, like, stay till the end and you'll get my new NFT project.
Nice. We do have a shitbeast question.
That's probably the issue we have, right? It's like the rug pull of like pushing, that you have this expertise in this one area, and then last second it's like monetize this separate thing. It's like, where did this come from? You just rug pulled me on something completely different that I haven't been following. I've been following you for something I enjoy, and now you're making me look at something I don't enjoy.
Yep. Definitely. That's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a huge, huge problem. Yeah. All right. Enough on that. Let's move on here. From Josh L. Moses 7. When putting together a rainbow of a particular set, I'm a stickler for slab consistency, but grades not so much. Are you the same? How do you approach it? If you even do rainbows at all? Big fan of the show.
Well, everyone knows I'm a big PSA slab consistency person, so I agree. As long as you don't do the authentic. Whoever asked this question, I'm on board as long as you put number grades on all your consistent slabs. No authentics.
Fair. Christina's got a plan for when she finally finishes the when she finally finishes the maxi rainbow, that she's going to grade them all with PSA at the same time and have them in sequential, so that the certs are sequential
based
as well.
On the serial number.
Based upon the rarity, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so that's going to be an OCD paradise.
I very much like this idea. So you just wait till you get all of them. That's smart.
Yep.
Then one of the new sales tactics I've seen, I know this is one of your faves, selling everything as a big old, selling it all as a set, and then having them sequentially all. Man, what a way to sell it! That would be just the easiest sales tactic ever.
Who's gonna buy?
That's curating, my friend.
Yeah.
You're right. I was looking for the word and I couldn't say it.
Stiff Arm Wax says a lot of card accounts might be rug pulling to gambling now.
It seems like gambling is the new monetization out for a lot of people. Podcasts, sports, like, because that's where the money is coming right now, it seems.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like on the gambling advice. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
yep.
If you're,
I'm picturing my accounts if it was gambling, and just instead of like an Instagram page full of cards, it's just bet slips.
That's just like, if you're not doing the Warren Sharp way of doing it, like I'm not, like, we're just going off your whims and your hopes and dreams and random bet slips. Like I don't understand what I'm buying here.
Low key, that's a big issue.
Yeah.
That any serious person about gambling, any professional bettor, wagerer, will say that the only viable option to avoid financial ruin if you are a regular gambler, sports bettor, is to have an edge and a system. And you need to find ways that you can beat the books, or else you won't. And you're just making donations to a corporation without any stock certificates to show for it.
Well, as they say, Vegas is expanding for a reason. In the middle of the desert, they seem to find a way to rebuild all the casinos every year, not just through, like their own hopes and dreams.
Yeah, now I've said this to some people, and then the reply is like, well, gambling, wagering, sports betting, it's for fun. And it's an entertainment expense, and people go into it and they understand that.
The part that Bill said this a few times this year, and I noticed it as well. I usually like drop a few here and there just for fun, or I emotionally hedge bet, which I told you guys about. The thing I noticed is like the team will be like plus 3.5, but the betting slip will be like plus 110. So it's like, man, they're like big underdogs. Like a 3.5 is like a pretty big swing in terms of betting on a basketball game. But then I bet, and it's like I only get 110 payout for 100. Shouldn't it be like 130 or something? You know what I mean? So like you could tell that these sites, these apps, like if you're even decent at math, you're like, man, I'm getting clobbered. Like if I actually win this really tough bet, I'm basically breaking even. Like, and then when I lose, it's like I lose it all. I don't know. It just is like the math doesn't make any sense. You need like a really strong system.
Yeah. The math isn't mathing.
The math isn't mathing. It's bad. You know what I mean? Have you noticed that? He said it a few times.
Yeah. The juice is everything. That's like I've dabbled in a few books on sports betting, and each of them has dedicated chapters to what's called the hold. And so the hold is this idea sort of how much money is the house getting back across betting on either side of a spread. I mean, that's that's definitely something to be alert towards. Is what's we have George in the chat defending the sports betting industry, and I'm proud. And George is one of the few who gets this stuff. Money line.
He's in crippling debt too from gambling.
Yeah. Well, like the thing that I kind of come back to too, Josh, and I completely agree with you on that point too. It's like this team's more than a field goal underdog. Why would I take a plus 110 on a money line. Also, I was thinking about kind of the topic of like, we have sports betting sort of infiltrating all of the broadcasts now. So you will have the pregame show to an event of any sport, and you'll have like 8 guys and girls give their picks for who's going to win and by how much, and eventually it takes on a gambling component now that legalized gambling and all these gambling entities are sponsoring all these shows. Well, what if we had people on Fox Business talking stocks, and some former CEOs and stuff, kind of like former players, maybe former coaches, and they're just like giving stock picks, just like, well, this one I feel is going to go up today. I saw the highlights from the board meeting, and they just want it more today.
I was going to say, like, when I'm like listening to the gambling advice, and then it boils down to one of them being like, I think this team just needs it more. It's like, well, is that code for like something? Because it seems like that never works out that way. I would rather you give me like weather patterns, or this team struggles more outdoors on the third week of like at least give me something.
You got to have a system and an edge. The edge can come from being the first to the book and being able to spot inefficiencies quickly. But the only way you can spot the inefficiencies and make quick moves on improperly priced spreads is you have to have a system. And there's not a lot of material out there that properly teaches people how to have a system, how to devise a power ranking, how to incorporate all of the plethora of data that we have available on sports and trend betting. Some people like to bet trends. A lot of people don't like to bet trends. But all this stuff, all these things are factors that serious professional bettors consider. And these are the people that the ordinary schmucks like myself are up against. When we're betting against lines that most likely have already been moved. First of all, they've been set by experts who have systems who are making the spreads in the first place for the books. And then they're being moved and adjusted rapidly as sharps who have systems and have edges come in and buy stuff and move the lines. And then you get the dummy like me coming in and, well, my gut tells me that the Bears just need this one more today. So let me put my money down. But as long as we understand that's that gambling, that sports betting in that way is entertainment, it's just fun, I'm lighting money on fire most likely, fine. As long as that's the context, right?
You should watch the Dumb Money documentary on Netflix. It's talking about how like deck is basically stacked against the common person. Again, like these big corporations or systems just kind of control the data, they control the numbers, they move things as they will because they have all the money and the power. And there's like, this one scenario, basically, this one time in history when the common person was able to band together and beat Wall Street, but like for the most part, lose to the house.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, Stiff says you've got that in cards as well. You've got that in real estate. You've got it in gambling. Yeah, that's true.
Experts always win.
Yeah, it's a good point. As long as we understand that us peons are gambling for the fun of it.
Right.
Yeah. All right. From Cardboard Insights, is there a card that does not fit into your personal collection, but it's just very cool and you will one day buy it?
Basically, like any rookie Black Finite, I wouldn't be opposed to owning a few of them. If Mahomes Black Finite came into my grasp, I wouldn't be mad about that. Random cards like that of like historical sets or players or something that I wouldn't mind turning down.
Yeah. Those cards definitely are alluring. Um, I'll tell you this though, I've done this a few times, nothing on that level, but like a really cool card has come up that does not fit into any of my player PCs, and I'll get the card, and I might like it. I might even like it for a while. I might be excited about it for a while, but then when inevitably a card comes up that means more to one of my player PCs, that other really cool card that's now been with me for a little while, yeah, that's the first one that
That's the
always gets
thing.
dropped.
And it's like I probably shouldn't have bought it in the first place. I could have had the money ready to go, kind of thing.
Exactly. And then then you get feelings like that too, where it's just like, I probably should have just laid off of that card.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was like my. I said this last week. That was like my 2023 success. Was I turned down stuff like that more, knowing that like 6 months down the road, I wish I wouldn't have bought it, so I didn't then, even though I really felt like it in the moment. So this kind of goes into that category for me of just don't buy it probably, and then wait for something you really want.
Yeah, like I'll just say this because it's true and it's just how it works. The Curry
Yeah,
Fast Break Black Prism 1 of 1. That is this card to a
you
T.
still have them?
I still have it. I still have it. Been a year and a half, and it's just a card that I honestly wish at this point. I've had this happen multiple times. Like when the McCaffrey Shield came up, I was like, man, I would love if I could just turn this card
Yeah,
into its and then especially when it's like a 1 of 1, it's like I don't even know what that card's worth. I don't know. So that card fits this to a T. It was something I thought was really cool. It was during the finals, the 2022 NBA Finals of the Warriors and the Celtics. Just wanted it. Went out to Bleecker in New York to get it, to make a deal with the person at the shop, and then after it's all said and done, it was just now it's like, all right, well, it's been a cool card. It's been a fun ride. I got it raw. It even graded a PSA 10. I'm still like, I would rather convert this card into a Michael Jordan card.
yeah. Well, screw the Warriors.
Yeah, plus the Warriors suck. All right.
They suck.
From PC with DPZ. Shout out to
There you go. You got a buyer in the chat.
Joe. Joe, that Joe, he knows what he's doing. He
Throwing a free.
like he's inquired about that card a few times, and now he sees that I'm weak on it, and he's like, all right, let's work something.
Just throw in a free meal, butter him up.
Yeah.
I'm not weak on that card.
Christina says she's not weak on that card. Joe's got some. All right, Joe. Well, maybe we'll work something out.
He's got the Dodgers out there. That seems like he's trying to destroy you on the deal.
Oh yeah, I know what Joe's up to. All right. From Dennis, I'd love to hear you guys list off your 5 favorite sets of all time across all sports. Let's do this collaboratively.
Okay, good. Thank God. I can't do this by myself.
Yeah, I'll name a set, you name a set, Christina name a set, and then we'll fill in the other 2 somehow. Because I'm not a set collector, so like in order for this question to work for me,
like this is like
ever any set.
Yeah, go.
And like as a preface,
I don't want to say that one though.
As a preface, I'm not a set collector, so it's this question. I don't think about approaching cards from a set first point of view. I come usually from a player first point of view. So like within the available offering of a certain player, then I have sets that I like a lot. But if I take the player out of it and just look at sets, it's just a weird way for me to think about it. I don't really think about it that way. Okay, go ahead. You had one? No. Do you have one, Josh?
Yeah. 03 Exquisite would be my first pick.
All right. 03 Exquisite. Great set. Let's just take 1997 Metal Universe off the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed watching that LeBron sale, so I'll say 2012 Prism. I think that's a really fun sale. It's only sold twice now. It's the same copy, so it's like one of the 10 has basically hit public auction.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 3.
Did I even see? Yeah, the LeBron Gold Prism just sold.
Christina?
You phoning a friend already?
Christina is going to go 2020 Prism because that's got the first year maxi and the neon green.
You can say 2018 Prism. You guys should say that.
I can't say I like 2018 Prism a lot, but it's just it really outside of the context of the fact that we PC a player in that product. It's just as a set by itself. It's fun.
But you have like the lottery. You have the LeBron Gold Prism. Like you guys like 20. You open a ton of it. Like you can just say it because you enjoy the nostalgia of the set.
Yeah, I do. It's just it doesn't belong on this list.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But we're not gonna say 86 Fleer.
Yeah.
I would never say that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to say 2018 Prism because you don't feel it fits on what this list is supposed to be, but we're not going to pick what is supposed to be on it anyways.
Yeah, I know. That's why I hate this. This question is making me squirm because I just don't think about that.
You're buying me a lot of time because if it was my turn, I'd be staring at the screen.
Yeah, I don't.
I got one.
All right, go ahead.
93 Finest.
Nice. First year Finest.
First refractor.
Like that.
Yeah. I was thinking like 96 Topps Chrome or something like that. I don't have any cards from those sets. I think they're cool sets for building the history of where we're at.
Sure.
I'm just gonna say it, even though it's gonna bite me in the ass later. 1933 Sports Kings multi-sport.
Ooh, okay. All right, there we go.
That would be creative.
Yeah, that's 5.
That's 5.
Well done.
All right.
Hate that question, but I love that question. Thank you, Dennis. All right, Drake is back again from Drake's PC.
The wife one?
Being that Josh went all in on the hobby after he got married, when you make a significant card purchase, is your wife involved at all? Or does she let you have free reign with the hobby finances? And if so, can she share her coping mechanisms with my wife?
Well, you guys got to spend a week with her. What do you think?
I think she has a great taste in aquariums.
Well, I was hoping you noticed that she just kind of goes with the flow and she's not really too worried about, she's not letting like big decisions like that or anything like really get to her or affect her. Like she just sort of is like, yeah, that's what he wants to do and he thinks it's smart. That's fine.
Yeah. Yep, that's definitely the vibe. Coping mechanisms.
I mean, I guess I don't understand, like, if you don't hobby together, she must have a hobby herself.
Okay.
And, like, if you support her in that hobby, why wouldn't she support you in yours?
Okay, so headline out of this crossover, Drake does not support his wife in her hobbies.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading from this question.
I think we've pinpointed the problem here.
Yeah, I don't want to get all like psychiatry, how to like work in your relationships, give advice and that kind of stuff. But like each person needs to be their individual, and you can't just because you're married to someone doesn't mean you can just like tell them what to do and control every aspect. That I don't know. Just let people be.
Wait, what? That's an option?
That is an option.
Well said. All right.
He's definitely drunk.
From JC2 Collects. He sent this question last week. Didn't get a chance to get to it. He resent it in this week. It's a little bit long, but it's an interesting one. What would it take for Panini Instant or Topps Now cards that are rare, numbered to 99 or less, to ever gain in popularity? is it hopeless because these cards are not pack pulled, or is it poor execution and poor quality? Panini has improved the picture some, but the cards themselves are still of very low quality. Topps has included interesting game used relics, but what else needs to happen? Because I appreciate the moments that they capture. Topps has a little bit of a better quality compared to Panini's print quality with the gloss and the more vibrant colors, but Panini has some really nice in-game photos. And sometimes they capture moments as they happen that a true fan might want and then might never make it to another card. So what do you guys think? What would it take for Panini Instant or Topps Now cards to gain in popularity?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with these cards? Let me just start there.
I am.
Okay.
And he sort of like answered it there at the end by saying, like, I always felt like those were kind of rushed and the quality of the cards looked like more generic, like paper stock. It almost looked like more like a memorabilia type thing where it's just like, here's a photo, it's on a card shaped piece of paper. But other than that, like, it's not very distinguishable as like this is a set with like a unique design or anything. So that's what always turned me off about it. So maybe if they just like did the opposite of what it says and not make it instant and actually like take some time before releasing it, I think people might appreciate it more. But, you know, it's like we want to like get that moment out right away because it just happened and we all want to like go while the hype is there. But like we'll probably appreciate it more if they take the time and release it nicely.
Yep. Yeah. There's a surprising number of people who are not too concerned about this stuff, like, you know, making sure that a card has a beautiful design and it's using holofoil and it's on great card stock and it's, you know, sufficiently glossy and stuff. Like, there's a surprising number of people who don't care about that at all. But Panini Instant, for example, is those cards they're not super easy to find and to access and to buy. You know, you have to be knowledgeable about how and when and where to go get them online. And then you have to be patient and wait for them to be made and shipped to you. And then, you know, some of them reach the secondary markets, but you have to be looking for them in order for them to show up and for them to come across your feed. And I think that's a big problem that is going to be tough to overcome is the means of distribution that exists in the first place. You're never going to see breakers losing their mind over a Panini Instant card because they're never breaking. They're never coming out of a pack. They're never making it to the shop at your LCS. And so it's tough for them to get the same exposure, the same excitement. They're made to order. You're ordering exactly what you're getting. And so that's just a really different scenario than sort of the random chance and the excitement and stuff that sort of comes with the traditional mode of distribution. That's one thought that comes to mind.
They're almost like custom cards, like made straight by them, sent to you. Versus like I know there's going to be a big chase for the 2023 Black Prism Wemanyama. Like I know that card's coming and it's going to be in a box and someone's going to pull it. It's going to be this exciting event. We don't know what instant cards are coming out and we don't have any way to like establish a lineage of them.
Yeah, do you remember Topps Project 2020?
Yeah.
This was this was a good example of that. Was like those the Ken Griffey's?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Keith Shore Ken Griffey?
Yeah.
Like that's the cautionary tale for what will happen if Panini Instant cards become very popular. Now, the author of this question, he limited it. He was like, we're only talking about the ones that are rare, the ones that are numbered, the ones that are 99 or less. And I get it, so I appreciate that. But there's also, it ain't the worst thing in the world that, like, if you found this niche of cards that you really like, you feel like they can be better. You feel like the production quality could come up and they could include different, production techniques. They could bring in some memorabilia from time to time that, you feel like they could be better, but that you like them a lot. That's, and they're not, overrun with people buying them and stuff. Like, it's not a bad lane. If you can get those cards for good prices and you like them a lot, and they have unique attributes such as they're the first of the first card to show this important photo, or they're documenting a cool moment. Maybe you don't want them to become super popular, or else you get the Keith Shore or the Ken Griffey Keith Shore effect, where it's just like, oh, they made 100,000 of these, and like just they lose their appeal.
Aren't they like the first autos of some players, where it's like the instant right after they get drafted kind of thing, and it's like the first card they sign with their new team? I think I'm picturing like Steph Curry or something. I think, isn't that a thing where they're like the first card they sign on their team?
I don't know.
I think that's next day.
There are
Next day. Is that sort of in this category?
No, well, like the instants are the ones that like Tommy Cutlets DeVito had 2 instant cards come out on Panini when he started for the Giants, because like he wasn't in the products for football.
Right.
So like they released like him running on the field after a touchdown, and one of him doing the Madone Italian hand gesture on the field.
That gesture has a name?
Not really, but it's like the Madone. It doesn't translate to English.
All right. So that's a good point. To Josh's point, so I made a spreadsheet of all of Mahomes' rookie cards, all of them, including the Panini Instants. And he has a Panini Instant NFL draft insert. He has a Panini Instant NFL rookie premiere next day autograph that's dated June 7th, 2017.
Nice.
So in Mahomes' case, these may be some of his very first autograph cards, if not his first.
Did they make a Panini Instant for Tommy DeVito 2 weeks later when he was benched?
No.
It's just like him on the bench.
What was the name of the Eagles security guy? Big Dom?
Big Dom, when he got kicked out.
Yeah, and then the Eagles' season went to hell after he got kicked out.
Wasn't that like the game that their season went to hell?
Because Big Dom got ejected.
That's what you get, Big Dom.
All right. Let's see. All right, this one from Jose as we wrap up this show. Jose asks, JGP_45 asks, is Panini not having a license for autographs to some of today's top rookies way overblown? If you look at PWCC's 100 most iconic cards, only 11 have an autograph. I'd argue that some of the base Prism cards belong on that list over certain NT cards, National Treasures cards. I say that to say that non-autographed cards are still at the core of collecting, and they are what the hobby was built on. Collectors still love their color parallels, inserts, refractors, and base cards. What do you guys say?
I think both can be true. Like the history of the base and the parallels is key, obviously, but I just not having the like Logo Man or the Shield Auto rookie from National Treasures is to me like a huge miss. And if we're talking about Wembanyama, like him not having a Logo Man Auto is huge. Think about all the interest that card would garner in terms of like the bounties and the breaking and who's going to find it. What's it going to do to the wax prices if it gets pulled? Like there's all these different talking points and things that make it interesting about the hobby and what that card's going to sell for. And we're not going to have any of that. And you can say whatever you want, but that card would be his highest selling card. That's the number one. So there clearly is value on the autograph card itself for the modern guys. And yeah, the PWCC list, or whatever, they just didn't have autograph cards, in the vintage days. So who's to say, like, if there was a one-of-one autograph rookie back then, if that wouldn't sell the highest even back then?
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree.
I have a hot take on this. I'm glad he's not going to have these cards, because all of these like investor flipper bros aren't going to go after it, and like the breaking gambling isn't going to be there for it. and we're not going to see this card sell for $1 million when the kid hasn't done anything yet. So the fact that it's putting a pause on the Wemby market, I think, is a good thing for the stability of the market.
But then we're going to get $50,000 mosaic cards instead.
Yep. Yes, we are. All right. Fair point, Jose. But I do tend to agree with Josh here that, like, no matter what way you slice it, it's a loss to the player's rookie offering. And I'm not a patch autograph fan. Well, I like them. I prefer the optic, the prism, the mosaic, the select. But it's undeniable that the biggest cards from the Panini era have all been Logo Man or Shield autograph cards. And so for one Panini not to have one, it's a loss. But I like the spirit of that question. All right. This was an odd question from Strong Cards 88. Any advice on how to invest in the same style as the three of you, but on a much lower budget? Well, here's what I would say to this, Josh. Bitcoin you can buy in at any price. So you don't need to buy Bitcoins in one unit. You can put $500 into your Coinbase accounts and become a Bitcoin magnate like myself. Josh?
I think you can buy just like rooms of a house. You don't have to buy the whole real estate property. You could just buy like one bedroom.
Are you fractionalizing bedrooms?
No, he's fractionalizing houses.
Fractionalizing houses.
No, that's what rooms are. They're fractional homes.
They are. This is a thing too. On there's a Twitter account I follow that focuses on Airbnbs, but he looks at Zillow all the time, and people are fractionalizing homes. Like they have Zillow listings where you can buy 1/7 of a home.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep, I'm considering investing.
We should offer shares in the CL50.
Obviously, the reason why this question was just strange is because I don't think we've ever looked at it as investing. So the question to me is, if you change the question to say, how would you collect in the way that the three of us do, but if you wanted to do it on a smaller budget, you have to go back to the root question, which is, what do you enjoy about collecting? Or who are the players that you enjoy collecting? Or if you're not a player collector, what are the sets that you enjoy? We have to start there. Or like, what are the ways that you enjoy sports? Or who are your sports heroes or your favorite athletes or the athletes that you believe in? And so like, we have to start from places like that, because the approach that we all take, I think, is that we collect cards that make us happy, and that's the I think that's the general theme to our style of collecting.
Well, let me just add a little asterisk on that. We also collect cards that make us miserable, like cards that don't appear that we need for our collection.
No, you haven't collected it yet, then.
True.
All right. This came from Card from Random Awesomeness. It was a comment, but I still want to read it. He says, I was listening to Friday's podcast, last week's podcast. I'm 65. Here are the stages of life. First, you are the same age as the young players. Then you're the same age as the veterans. Then you're older than most players. Then you're the same age as the coaches. Then you're the same age as the Hall of Famers. Then you're older than most of the coaches, and then death.
And then you're the same age as LeBron.
Nice. Just found that amusing. Oh, here we go.
There was one that I said, let me cook.
Oh. Yes.
I don't even remember what it was or even remotely what the topic was, but
I remember what it was. There's just so many questions that come in all the time. Here we go. No, that's not it. The question was this. and I shared it to my story. That's how I remember it. But I don't remember who asked it, unfortunately. And I still have like 50 questions in this list. I can't quickly find it. But the question was, I think it may have been from Mike Pinkerton, actually. Yeah, I'm almost positive it came from Mike. It was Mike Pinkerton 50. And the question was, is the future of the hobby going to lie in large card shops or small, old school style card shops?
Yeah. And this is like the large card shop trying to capture this Walmart branding of, hey, we're just going to mass produce and like move things at retail price, no negotiations. This is like the new model. That's just not going to work, because the whole point of collectibles, like the entire thesis of it, is that you're trying to acquire and buy things that are not readily available and they're not retail based. That's like why, that's like the number one reason that it was so appealing to people during the COVID boom and stuff. People can come in and you can sort of like, I don't want to say make up the prices that, you can sort of like move the prices around based on, people's tastes in the collectible itself. It's not defined by strictly supply and demand. This isn't milk. This isn't cartons of milk where we just, we get a certain supply from the dairy farms and then we sell it at this price and that's what moves it the quickest. And we've got it all mapped out. That's not how cards work. It's a collectible, right? It's a space where it's between buyer and seller, and whatever the buyer values it at, because it's a rare piece they want to add to their collect. Like the Christian McCaffrey, you can't put a price on those black finites because it's like whatever you're going to pay. It's like the seller that had it, he's going to get what you offer him. That's the price of it, So it's just it's a completely different space. It's not to the whims of Walmart style retail. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's such a good point. I wish I would have got to that question as question 6, so that rant could have made its way to the first 30 minutes, because it's such a good point.
It's just the question led nicely into what I feel is a decent theme this week. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I love it. I have nothing to add to that. Completely agree with that. All right. Maybe one or two more here. This one comes from Paxton Slap. What is your take on the NBA's 65 game minimum for awards eligibility?
Did you listen to the Russillo podcast by any chance recently? Talking about the Embiid.
I don't know. Remind me of what he said. What was his basic take?
I think he took this take from Twitter, so I don't think it was his take, but I was thinking about it. The point is basically that the 65 is a specific number to where even if you don't put that rule in place, if you play less than 65, you're probably not going to win anyways. So why put the rule in? Now all it's doing is putting pressure on people to rush back. And if he had a real injury, Embiid wouldn't have won anyways, because it's we can't really give the MVP to somebody who missed 20 games.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's probably
it's a really good point. Yeah, I think Russillo mentioned this, or it's been mentioned somewhere, and it gets mentioned every year on MVP voting time. But the only time in a full 82 game season that somebody has won MVP while playing less than 66 games was Bill Walton, who played 58.
Yeah,
that was
so it doesn't happen
50 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, there was already a very strong informal 65 or more, and the Embiid of all of this, I don't It's such a weird gaslighting that's going on, the way people are talking about it. Nick Nurse came out after the Golden State game in the post-game press conference, and he said that the injury that Embiid suffered, which now has turned out to be some sort of a meniscus damage, might be a tear, might not be. Nick Nurse said it was unrelated to the injury that kept him out of the prior games at earlier points in the season. and the Denver and the Portland games. Unrelated. This wasn't the injury that kept him out of those games. So you can't say, oh, the poor guy forced himself to play,
Right.
and then he exacerbated his injury. No, this injury is unrelated. Kuminga smashed into his leg when he was on the ground.
Yeah, it's like the Marcus Smart play.
Yes, it was a freak accident. And like that is just completely glossed over. Nobody's even thinking or discussing the fact that it is a non sequitur. It is unrelated to observe, well, he forced himself to come back because the media bullied him into it, which may have been true, by the way, but it's unrelated because the injury that he was playing through is a different injury than the one that he sustained in that game. And you know what? Also, Embiid prior to that had played like 33 of 46 games, I think. And he had missed a lot of road games against good opponents, not exclusively. He also missed games against bad opponents too. Rest advantage is such a huge advantage in sports.
Yeah.
I was listening to a McCaffrey podcast this week, and he that's just like casually, like I was listening to him do an interview, and he said that he has 2 seasons. He has the first season where he gives everything he has up until the bye week, and then the bye week is so important to him refreshing mentally, refreshing physically, coming back, going into his second season, which is the post-bye week season. And you can listen when House and Sharp are talking about the impact of the Chiefs having to play 3 playoff games, whereas the 49ers only have to play 2. The 49ers got to rest their starters last week. The impact of rest is huge. So when Embiid is strategically taking off games, because let's make no mistake about it, some of the players in the league this year said, oh, I only have to play 65? Then that's all I'm going to play. I'm not going to play 70. I'm not going to play 75. I'm not going to play 80. If I only have to play 65 to qualify, I'm going to shoot for that bare minimum. And that's going to allow me to strategically cherry pick which games I'm going to play and which ones I'm not. Now I can give myself a rest advantage and know that I'm guaranteed to qualify as long as my stats are massive.
It actually lowered the number of games these guys are going to play. It's the reverse.
It had the opposite effect of what it was intended to do. Instead of putting a floor on how many games people would play, it put a ceiling on it. And it just made sure that players who are strategically approaching the award system are going to give themselves huge rest advantages. They're going to strategically sit out games against very difficult opponents. And they're going to just say, let me make sure I just get to 65. And you know what? If not for the freak Kuminga accident, Embiid might have perfectly mastered that system. He might have slid right in at 65, averaged 36 points a game, had the greatest player efficiency rating of all time, and did it within the confines of the rules. Like, he could have done that if not for the freak injury. So,
would you rather see the NBA just reduce to keep the calendar length the same, but reduce to 70 games and just space them out more? No more back-to-backs and just, like space them out.
Yeah, I care so much about like the record books and the rules and stuff.
Same.
That, like, I don't want to break from the 82 games, right? Like you probably.
Same. Yeah, it's like it basically like ruins any future chance of breaking career records and 3-point records, and wins records are gone. Like, it just sort of like destroys all the record books.
Yeah. I'll say this too. Embiid was terrible in that Warriors game because he was trying to play through an injury that he probably should not have been trying to play through.
Yeah.
He had an awful game. He tanked his points per game by almost a full point. He didn't play well. I watch 2 PC players and a lot of different teams. I see guys look terrible and play through injuries all the time. All the time. It's not particularly unique that Embiid did that and had a bad game. And everybody's making excuses like, oh, well, he played through an injury. Well, I agree. We shouldn't have played through the injury. I completely agree with that. I don't think players should be playing through injuries. And for the teams I root for, I want them to rest strategically too, so that they are at their best when it matters in the playoffs. But I have gone to Mavericks games, and I will see Luka out there hobbling around and grimacing every single play, and he can't even go beyond a jog. Like, he won't get back on defense. He won't run in fast breaks on offense. Partially maybe because he's been out of shape at various times, but I've also seen him do those things regularly too. He will play in games. He'll be questionable on the injury report. He'll be doubtful on the injury report. He'll play a game. He'll be at 50, 60%, and he still goes out there and plays those games. Not saying he should. I don't encourage players to do that. I don't think they should do that. I think that's dangerous. Like, it makes me nervous when he does that. But I see him do it at various points in every season. And he will have a shitty game in those situations. And nobody's making excuses for that. Nobody's making excuses for that. So I didn't love the excuse making for the Warriors game either. Oh, this guy's playing through an injury. Dude, people play through injuries all the time. So
he also hasn't played in Denver since 2019. He's a fucking baby. Okay. Not my MVP.
Okay. He's from got up for that Spurs game, didn't he?
He did.
He's like, oh shit, I'm just gonna put up 73 tonight. I love how it's like the media's like, oh, Embiid's he's got his MVP, so now his focus is shifted to winning. Is it? Because it kind of seems like it's still stat padding, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and like, dude, this guy's numbers this year are they're insane. 36 points a game, more than a point per minute. His PER is 35. It would be the highest single season PER ever by like 2 points.
7 million free throws on
a lot of
4 billion fouls.
A lot of free throws.
I can't watch the guy play. So I can't do it. He's the only guy in the NBA right now. It used to be Harden. Now it's him. I can't watch the fouls. I don't know. It's just like, I get it. You throw your arms up and it's a foul every time.
Yeah. Yep. I like that comp. He's definitely brought like something Harden-esque to the center position.
Yeah, and it's like he's not even like a good driver of the basketball. He's so big. It's like when he drives and just foul.
Yeah. All right. So the question was like, how do we feel about the 65-game rule? And then I took it to a whole different direction. But do you like would you keep the rule or not?
I would not. I don't like the rule. Just let it play out, because these guys are already thinking about that. They're already thinking like, how many games do I need to play to where the voters would still give it to me, and like like sometimes they write it into contracts. How many, like, it already sort of like has natural selection built into it, in my opinion. And trying to put a number on it is like you said, oh cool, now I only have to play 65 games. Thanks for putting a number on it for me.
Yep, it's arbitrary, and it really does have that backfiring risk. And like the whole point of it seems to be that like it's supposed to be encouraging players to play more, and like people are pointing to like Kawhi, like, look, Kawhi has played more games this year. It must be because of this rule, and I just don't know about that. I don't think it's actually working that way.
Yeah.
I don't think you can force people into playing more. I think if you can adjust the incentives to reward playing more, but
the Suns were dealing with like injuries and like having injury prone players this year, and like Bradley Beal's getting a bad rap, and mostly rightfully so, and he had like back injury and he missed a bunch of games and people were getting antsy, and then he broke his nose last week, and he's like basically forcing himself to play through this broken nose, which I don't know much about broken noses in basketball, but he's wearing the mask. And then tonight he got hit on the face and he was bleeding, and he wanted to go to the locker room, but anybody got fouled, and so if he doesn't shoot the free throw, he's out for the game. And you could see on his face, like, if I do this, everyone's gonna fucking call me a baby. I gotta keep playing. So they like shoved stuff up his nose, put the mask back on, played the rest of the game. So like, to your point, there definitely is like this sense from players, like, the media is bearing down on me, fans are getting mad, I need to like force my way through this a little bit, which is, I don't know if it's good or bad.
It's probably bad. And like a broken nose, that's I've never broken my nose, but I understand it's very painful to get hit on a broken nose.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a leg injury, right? He can still run around, and it's just more of like an annoyance. But if he keeps getting hit there, like it's never gonna heal, and he's just gonna have a broken nose. It's like all the hockey fans are like, "Oh, they break their nose every game." Like, okay, well, fine.
Yep.
They are obviously the more superior athlete, though, because they do everything on sharp little blades. So.
There's the
Right,
risk of death.
Let's pick a title for tonight's show. I have about like 15 written here. All right. Gestation period. Era's tour.
I like how you still are like unsure about that one. You're like, the error?
I'm not. I'm still not sure.
Google it later.
Men throw ball around. I'm exhausted already. I was like 20 minutes in. Watching it on my toilet.
We should watch the Super Bowl from our toilets and live stream it.
No one wants to see that.
Shop agnostic. Hefty cardboard box. Unmolested seclusion.
I don't think there's an emoji for that one.
No, probably not. Unmolested case. How you hobby in 2024.
Let's stay away from the molested shit this week. Just like
What do you mean? We're just quoting a description. Okay.
I understand.
Stubbornly riding that one into the ground. Players gotta eat. OCD paradise. Sufficiently glossy. That's what you get, Big Dom. Fractional homes. Collect what makes you miserable. That's a Christina special there. And this isn't milk. A lot of good ones here. There's a lot of good ones.
I have my fave.
You have one clear fave?
Clear fave. There's so many that I feel like we're not going to say the same thing. There's just so many.
Is it unmolested seclusion? No, I'm just joking.
I'm trying to think like which one would capture my attention as a caption. Like that's your clue.
Which would capture?
This is not milk with a milk glass?
Yeah.
That's pretty good, but no, that's probably my second.
Players gotta eat with a fork and knife.
No, I don't think it's that one.
She just changes the emoji. No.
Which one is it?
I like the stubbornly riding this into the ground.
With a horse?
Because it's like a little unambiguous. Like, what exactly are you riding into the ground?
Horse, and then a horse emoji?
You could do a horse emoji, yeah.
Good.
I think that was your Frankie Lakita thing.
That's me squeezing everything I can out of the Frank. At least the Frank Ntilikina PC gave us a topic for a show, a headline.
There you go.
You know,
what's your favorite?
I kind of like unmolested seclusion.
That just sounds like a lot of like perverse terms. It's like two in a row. Even the word seclusion is kind of
like a box, yeah, like a big hefty box next to it.
Unmolested seclusion. That's in the description. Those two words together.
I read it straight from this. Here, the description says this: The case itself presents with only the slightest evidence of handling and storage wear, indicative of a long and lonely existence of unmolested seclusion.
So I'm supposed
That's
to be excited about a box. I'm supposed to be excited about a brown box sitting in a dark room for a long time without anyone touching it.
I just think that's such an outrageous, absurd, bizarre. I'm not choosing it.
You can. Is Instagram going to be mad at us?
Yes, they will. It's so obnoxious, honestly.
But we're not promoting molestation. We're actually promoting unmolestation. Correct. It's good.
Correct. The opposite. We're going in the polar opposite direction. It's just such a bizarre word to use. And you don't even need unmolested. You could just say a long and lonely existence of seclusion.
No, Stiff says we're good.
Stiff says we're good.
I usually am like, oh, I'll go back and forth, but if Nick says we're good, I'm like, that's enough for me.
Well, here's the thing, too, right? Like, picture of my face making like a weird mouth, and then there's like your head next to it, and probably Christina's head's going to be right here on the image.
But it's unmolested. Unmolested.
And then the title is just unmolested seclusion.
Yeah, it's very clear. It's unmolested. This is actually like better. Now, if the title was molested, then I would, then maybe I'd try it.
Right. I liked OCD Paradise as well.
We should put Nick in a tough spot of having to pick a thumbnail that doesn't look weird next to that caption. So this is actually like a challenge.
Christina is shrinking in horror right now.
It's up to you. I gave you one. I gave you an out. It's your call.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a very clean out that will make me happy as well.
Christina as soon as I end this, she's gonna run over here and take the photo picture that's not.
Throw it over the balcony.
All right. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. See you guys next week.
Maybe.
CY Card Ladder is the most respected sports card analytics app on the market. We have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history. Easily find recent comps and get a better estimate what your cards are worth. CY Card Ladder is the most trusted and the most reliable sports card analytics app on the market. We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder, constantly innovating. Try it for free. CY Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. Card Ladder. We're just getting started.